Hello and welcome to my video. My name is Norman LeMay and I am your statistical instructor. In this video I want to show you the first part regarding the language of hypothesis testing, and that is stating what is called the null and the alternative hypothesis. So let's go ahead and get started. In 2015, it was determined that the average annual salary of nurses was $50,000. Researchers with the Nursing Association is interested to determine if those salaries has increased. In this example, the researcher is interested if the average annual salary has increased, but this is not the only situation that a researcher may be interested in. So let's take a look. In 2015, it was determined that the average annual salary of nurses was $50,000. A researcher for a nursing association is interested if the average annual salary has changed. Or, in 2015, it was determined that the average annual salary of nurses was $50,000. A researcher for a nursing association is interested if the average annual salaries has decrease.
Heavens to Murgatroyd!
If that was to happen. So now let's take a moment and I want to go back and take a look at our first scenario and investigate the last sentence very carefully. So let's take a look and let's note that this is asking if the nurses' salaries has increased. All right, so when we take a look at that last sentence, we can easily see that this is a statement of change. Any statement of change is referred to as the alternative hypothesis. The alternative hypothesis, denoted as H sub A or H sub 1, is considered to be a difference between a population parameter and a number. This is also a statement that the researcher is trying to find evidence to support. Later we will see that the alternative hypothesis is also a statement regarding the difference of two means or two proportions, but we'll see that later on. As we can see, the alternative hypothesis is read from the given statement and is written as H sub A mu is greater than $50,000, or 50,000 in this case. All right, so the alternative hypothesis mu is greater than $50,000. So note we have a population parameter that is inserted into this statement, and that is very important to note. Now we need to consider the current situation, that is the status quo of what is happening with the population mean, okay, or what is going on currently with that parameter. So 5 years ago the mean was $50,000, and that is what our current situation is. All right, so at $50,000 is what we had 5 years ago. All right, so that being the case, the statement regarding the current situation of the population parameter is referred to as the null hypothesis. So the null hypothesis is a statement of non-change regarding a population parameter, say the population mean or the proportion, and the null hypothesis is usually in the form of H sub 0. Okay, and that is the form that we use. So this is the statement also that a researcher is trying to test. So the null hypothesis in this case then is H sub 0 mu equals 50,000. Okay, so that's the current situation, the status quo, if you will, a statement of non-difference of that population parameter. So that's how it works with means. Let's take a quick second and take a look how this works with proportions. So in 2014, it was determined that the diabetes rate, or the rate of diabetes in the state of Colorado, was 7.3%. A researcher with the American Diabetes Association was interested if the rate of type 2 diabetes has changed. And again, this is in the state of Colorado. So again, we have to determine the null and the alternative hypothesis. So again, let's note that last sentence. That is that the researcher is interested if there was a change in the type 2 diabetes rate. Note, we are not informed if there was any sort of an increase in the rate. We're not informed if there is any decrease in the rate. It's just we don't know. So basically, the researcher is just kind of saying, I don't really know if it's increased or decreased, and so I don't know. Let's see if there's a change. So the alternative for this case, the form then is H sub A is going to be P does not equal 0.073. Okay, so that would be our alternative hypothesis. Now we need the null hypothesis, and as always, the null hypothesis is always in the form P equals. So our null hypothesis then is in the form H sub 0 P equals 0.073. So in conclusion, the null hypothesis is a statement of no change with a population parameter, and the alternative hypothesis is a statement of change. When working with means, remember, we always use the population parameter mu. When working with proportions, we always use the population parameter p. Do not interchange your mu's and your p's. Okay, that's no bueno regarding that. Okay, so I guess that's about it. The whole idea here is to read the scenario and ask if there is a statement of change or no change, of difference or non-difference. If you have a statement of difference regarding your population parameter, then that's the alternative. So that's what you're given. And then you just come up with your null, and notice that your null is always in the form mu equals or p equals. So there's not really a whole lot of working with the null hypothesis. All right, that's it, and we'll see you in the classroom. Adios.